In this video, I want to do a comprehensive example of using maps and sets potentially in an example of the following. So let's suppose that we have a list of strings and we want to return a map of the each key mapped to the corresponding count or the frequency of that string in a list. So what that means is, let's say we have, let's create a list of strings, and then let's say we have so let's just do the random letters so it doesn't really matter. So like J, A, D, D, A, L, M, P, L, J, D, D, P. Okay? So the question is, what would be the expected value for this if we called count frequency on this list? So we know that the result is going to be a map of strings to integers, because it's going to be the strings mapped to specific counts or frequencies. Okay? But we don't know what that might look like, because so the problem doesn't say whether the keys need to be ordered in some specific way. So we'll just use a hash map for the heck of it. But the thing is, if we want to create an expected map, we'd have to create new hash map and then exp map.put. So J occurs twice, and then what else? A occurs twice as well, so on and so forth. But that would be kind of painful. So there's a simpler way by using map.of. And if we have a limited number of keys that we're going to test, then we can very easily use map.of. Okay? So how does map.of work? Well, what we do is we pass it a key, and then we pass it the value. So the key 1 is J, and the expected value would be 2. Then we have A, and then its value would also be 2. D would be 4. L would be 2. P would also be 2. There's a lot of 2's here. And that looks like that would be it. Yeah. So this one's pretty straightforward. So this is how we create the expected map for a method that outputs a map. And then we can just use assert equals, and then we'll say the expected map is this, and then we're going to call count frequency count.count frequency, and we're going to pass it the list. And then of course this is going to fail because it just returns null when it should. Okay? So the expected here is a map where we have some keys to values, but this ordering is actually not what we said. We said that J comes first. But again, the way that this will work is that it will create a kind of hash map. Okay? But the important thing here is that just like list.of, this will create an immutable map. Okay? It'll create an immutable, unmodifiable map where we don't know the ordering. Okay? So it's a very simple kind of map. It really should only be used for writing tests. Okay? So, so let's do one more test. Let's just test the empty list. And then we can say that it returns an empty map. So map.of with nothing. And then we'll just pass ls2 and map2. And then let's just have a list of only one thing. So let's just say a bunch of A's. That seems fine. And now we'll have expected map 3, where we map the value A to the value, or we map the key A to the value 5. Okay? Now, of course, all 3 of these are going to fail, or rather, only one of them is going to fail, because once this one fails, the rest don't run, because this isn't in an assert all block, but that's fine. So we'll come back to that. So now, how exactly do we want to solve this problem? Well, what we can do is first create a map where each so let's draw this out, because I think that might be a little bit easier. We can create a map that is initially empty. Okay? And then when we find a string for the first time that doesn't exist in the map, so for example, if we find the string j and that is not in the map, then what we can do is add j to the map with the key, or with the value 1, okay? Because of course, if there's only, if we just found the first occurrence of something, then there has to be one occurrence of that in the map, okay? But what if we find another j? Well then, of course, j will already be in the map. So what we can do is simply get the old value, so m.get j, and then just do m.put of j, and then v plus 1. Okay? So if we do it this way, then we're going to get the old value, and then we can just increment that value. Okay? Now there's actually an easier way to do this. We could do this in one line by just putting it here, but I think this is perfectly fine to do. Okay? So, and then we can just return the map. So let's see what that looks like. We're going to first create a map of strings to integers. We'll call it m equals new hash map. Then we'll return the map, and again, just like I've said before, we do some stuff in here with the map, and then we return the map. Okay? So we're going to loop over for every string s in the string ls. We're going to say if s is not in m. So if m does not contain the key s, then we're going to put s in the map with the value 1. So if we haven't found an occurrence of it yet, we put it in the map and we say that it occurs one time, because of course it does. If it is in the map, then we're going to get the number of times it has occurred by doing m.getS, and then we're going to do m.put s and then v plus 1. Okay? So even IntelliJ is saying that, yeah, you can shortcut this by doing this, but we don't know what this does, so you shouldn't use that. Okay? So we'll talk about this notation in a week or so when we talk about streams, but for now, actually, no, we won't. We'll talk about it when we talk about comparators, but don't use the simplified notation if you don't know what it does. Just use this notation, or just use this because it makes sense. Okay? So, let's rerun it, and it doesn't pass. Let's see, what did, I forgot m, okay. So, again, it doesn't matter where we put it, because, yeah, I must have turned on caps lock. Yeah, so, yeah, I forgot the key m, because I'm a genius. And, okay, so I just can't count, so that would be 6. So, these are occurrences where your test can actually be wrong, because, you know, if you can't count, or if you just misread something, then your expected values might be wrong. So, when you're creating tests with maps, or sets, or anything like that, be very careful of how you do it, because if you're not, then you might screw something up. Okay?